If everyone could please be seated, we're going to call this meeting to order. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'd like to welcome the Navy JROTC Magnet Academy from Como. Shipmate, how are you?
Left, base, present, colors.
Mr. Blue, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Carry. Colors. Ready, cut, right, face, forward, march, left, 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 right.
Next on our agenda is opening comments from our superintendent.
Thank you, Board President, board members, members of the public. 3 short comments. It's been a great start to the school year, and I just want to publicly state that this is the result of our principals, our teachers, and all of our staff members that have been out there. There's been such a positive vibe that is happening, but more importantly, it's the entire district staff that has really come together to make sure that this has been a great start to the school year. So a big thank you to each and every one of those individuals, and look forward to a great school year. Second thing that I'd like to make you aware of, and I always want to make sure that the policies and the things that you decide on as a board, when certain things actually result in good, positive results, I want to make you aware of it. The residency program that we established, where we partnered up with UL Lafayette, in which we stated to each of those different residencies, if they gave us 2 years of commitment of coming to work for us, we would pay them $1,000. We have 40 different residents that have signed a contract that we don't have to interview. They will be working for us, some of which are going to work for us in January, and the remainders will work for us in May. So again, board members, thank you for that effort. We are getting ahead of the curve as far as making sure that we're securing certified teachers in the classroom. The last comment that I would like to make, and it's also, again, goes back to the actions that this board has taken, is that I want to take you through this past week that I went into Barranco Elementary. And I walked into the door on the side, on the roadside, and the first classroom to the left, there is a teacher called Miss Sapp. Miss Sapp said, "Mr. Tuchet, can you come into my room? I'd like to tell you something." Miss Sapp is a first grade teacher at Barranco. Miss Sapp indicated to me that she had a student that came up to her, and this student again was in kindergarten last year, and stated, "Are you my teacher for this year?" And she says, "Yes." She said, this particular student said, "Are we going to have subs like we had last year?" Ms. Sapp said, "No, I will be here every day." Again, having a teacher that is there to be for kids and to make sure that is happening. I want to first of all thank this board, but more importantly, I want to thank Mr. Nick Pugh and the foundation that really came through and said that, hey, our kids at Barranco, our kids at J.W. Falk matter, and they should be getting the same type of education and the same quality of education that every other student's getting. Don't ever forget what Ms. Sapp brought me into that room to state. Are we going to, that student asked her, are we going to have subs every day? And she said, no, I will be here for you every day. Thank you, board members. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. We'll move on to information items. The first information item is 2.1 academics. 2024 Slimco Scholarships and Outstanding Youth Awards. Dr. Rabelais, Ms. LaFleur.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mary Laurent with Slimco, and we have two programs, two of the many things that we do with the schools throughout the area, and we have two programs that we'd like to highlight tonight. Okay, sorry. Each year at our annual meeting, Slimco awards 20 $2,000 college scholarships, which can be used for going to a four-year university, a two-year community college, or one of the area trade schools throughout the state. And this year we did have two who were drawn in a random drawing from Lafayette Parish, and they were Abby Duff from Southside High School and Quentin Carey from Southside High School. We take applications every year from our customers and their children from February to May, and it is a random drawing that we give these $2,000 scholarships out. So we do encourage and work with all of the guidance counselors at the various schools throughout the parishes that we serve so that they can partake in those college scholarships. We also award the Slimco Outstanding Youth Award, which is designed to honor outstanding boys and girls at the schools that use Slimco electricity. Winners were selected by the administrations of the various schools, and students were judged on their classwork, ability to get along with others, respect for others' property, and involvement with community activities. Medals were presented to the winners at their school awards day programs this past May. The Lafayette Parish winners for 2024 from Charles Burke, Outstanding Boy, Dannon Avey, Outstanding Girl, Harper Roussel. From Ernest Gallette, Outstanding Boy, Jay Scudo, and Outstanding Girl, Sophia Chirinos. From Austin Elementary, Outstanding Boy was Grayson Traham. Outstanding Girl was Faith Charlotte. From Ridge Elementary, we have Outstanding Boy, Xander Bowers. Outstanding Girl, Kyla Harmon. And lastly, from Judy's Middle, Outstanding Boy was Christian Teller, and Outstanding Girl was Elia Collins. Slimco is very involved in the community, both through our grant programs and through the youth that are going to be our future leaders in the community. And we just wanted to stop by today and recognize the students who won these academic scholarships and their youth awards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. 2.2, update from Vermillion Architects and T3 Global Projects on turf fields in Lafayette Parish. Come on up to the podium, please.
Hello, David Hamer with Vermillion Architects.
I'm Roberto Sanchez with T3 Global.
So I did issue field reports just a little while ago on each project. Acadiana High School, they're expecting to finish all the outstanding items by, at the latest, Monday, hopefully Friday. Ove Como, the turf is down. They're working on some site drainage. Once they finish the site drainage, they'll put up the grandstands that was in the field. So they work on that. And then Cecilia High School, there's one outstanding drainage item that needs to be finished, and they're working. I'm sorry, Karen Crow. Karen Crow. They're one outstanding drainage item. And they're about 50% laying down the turf all across the field right now. Once they get that turf completely laid out, they'll start doing the numbers, hash marks, the lettering, the logos, all that stuff. So I'll let Roberto tell you anything he wants to tell you.
Well, that's a general summary. I know the concern when we received the invitation to come here tonight was two schools in particular, which is Acadiana and Karen Crow. So I'll address those as much as I can, and then of course if there's any questions. At Acadiana, as you know, the field's been down for quite some time. It's been tested. It's ready for use. There were substantial changes in the site drainage that caused us to pause and demobilize from the site. And when the redesign was issued, we had to purchase order new junction boxes, drainage boxes that have a 6-week lead time. So that's the only reason we're still working on that. But as David said, we do have boots on the ground, and we do expect that to be wrapped up Friday, Monday the latest. The change order items, the biggest one that's remaining is the dummy pad. That's being poured tomorrow. And then we should be able to, as soon as we finish turf at Karen Crow, we'll come back and put the turf down at that dummy pad. So that really wraps up Acadiana. At Karen Crow, we started laying turf. We're at the 50-yard line. We expect to finish by tomorrow night or Friday morning on laying it all out. It's not seamed up. It has to be glued together, and then all the inlays come, which is numbers, hashes, logos, lettering. I felt it was our obligation to express the possibility of the field not being ready for the first home game. So I drafted a letter on August 1st. And at this moment in time, I still can't say for sure it will be ready. There's a very good chance it will be. We have people on site, and they're not going anywhere. I don't know if you're aware, but our turf crews have been working basically 7 days a week for the last month and a half. It's been hot, and the progress is slower than we'd all like, but we can only do so much and feel like temperatures of 115. So we do have a good chance to finish it, but as of right now, I cannot promise 100% it will be finished. We suggested in the letter and in talking to the architectural firm and David that it would be very good to have a plan B, just in case we don't make it. And you can be assured that we are going to be working every day from here to September 6th to be ready. There is the issue of testing as well that has to happen before we release the field. We've already talked to the lab. We have them lined up for testing on September 5th. So I know it's down to the wire, but based on the amount of work these fields take, it's going to be tight.
Mr. Lejeune, do you have any questions on Acadiana?
The only question I have is for the Jamboree, which is the Kiwanis Jamboree, everything's going to be completed and ready to go?
Yes, I was there this afternoon. We have 2 different crews working, and I don't expect anything to be missing by Monday next week.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Edmond, do you have any questions on Karen Crow?
I just want to first tell y'all thank y'all for your efforts to get it done, but man, we're really looking for that home game for September 6th.
Absolutely. We understand. I mean, it's we've been in this situation many times, so we understand the importance of these home games. We really do. We don't take it lightly. You know, Karen Crow, I mean, I could go on and on about reasons that we are where we are, but in a nutshell, it's been weather, unsuitable soils. When we started to drill for the goalpost foundations, we hit water at 5 feet of depth. We were able to very quickly get some casings in the ground, which sometimes these casing companies can be 2-3 weeks out. And within 7 days, we had that cased and poured. So we haven't spared any expense or resource, manpower, equipment to get it done. So we understand, and we don't take it lightly. Yeah.
The only questions I had were I saw a very, very long period of time with no activity at Acadiana at all. The parking lot was still in shambles. School has started. They've had an event or 2 at the stadium that got in the way, and just couldn't understand how you start a project in December. And I realized we started late because we played until week 15. That almost 9 months later, we weren't complete. And and I did get correspondence saying that between the 12th and the 14th, y'all would be at Acadiana working and it would be complete by then. And when that didn't happen, that really fueled let's get into a board meeting and let's have a report on, 9 months, and it's still not ready, and we've committed to hosting a jamboree because Cajun Field is not operational right now. And I mean, we need to have that place ready to go. And I get, things get in the way, but we needed a report, we needed y'all in front of us to let us know. So Friday or Monday, Acadiana's complete and T3 is off the property. And
Yes.
we're ready to go.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
I don't know. I mean, we have a sub that's been working for us throughout the project. And when the redesign on the east side drainage came about, they demobilized and they were not able to jump back on it when we all wanted to. But it's also understandable that when, you know, we have 2 change orders with probably 30 line items of different changes. So we have been jumping back and forth to job sites because of these changes, and it doesn't always allow for the best sequential programming, but we've done the best we could. I understand your concern for sure, and thankfully, you know, it's taken care of. It's going to be ready by Monday.
Okay. Did you have a question, Mr. Superintendent?
So, again, thank you for coming forward. But
Yes, sir.
I want you to know that we're going to hold you to what you just stated on the record, that you're going to be there every day and you're going to be doing what you have to do. I want you to know that our team is out there, and several different times I'm inquiring about the status of these fields, and it's very disheartening when I get a report back that says nobody is on site. Not one time, but many times. So again, we're going to look at the past as being the past, but moving forward, we're going to ask that we get this completed. There's a lot of community that is looking forward to these fields being completed. And again, my team is going to be out there making sure that what you just stated is actually going to take place.
Yes, sir. Yeah, like I said, 3 fields are complete. The crew is on site on the last one. And the way our turf installs have been at all other 3 schools is once turf is rolled out, nobody goes anywhere until that school is finished. Sure. Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. We're
Thank
going to
you.
move on to our consent agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll remind you, with the consent agenda, board member can pull anything. Even though an item is not pulled, we still have public comment, presentations, and/or board member comment. New to our meetings, if a board member pulls an agenda item, you have to state the reason why you are pulling it. That is brought to us by the legislature. We'd like to thank the state for getting involved. So I'm going to go ahead and read our consent agenda, and for the public, if you speak on an item, give us the item if it's in Globo, and speak for or against the item. 3.1, Superintendent, discussion on action to approve community-driven district optimization priorities. 3.2, Administration is discussion and/or action concerning revisions to the 2024-2025 salary schedule. 3.3, Associate Superintendent, discussion and/or action concerning auctioning surplus inventory from Lafayette High School to raise funding for the new Lafayette High School building. 3.4, discussion and/or action for staff to explore and provide estimates for an expansion of the existing drawn-out Phase 2 of Southside High. 3.5, facilities, discussion and/or action to pre-fund and construct fiscal year 26 project Southside High School Stadium in the fiscal year 25 self-funded construction fund to allow for early fiscal year 25 project start and/or summer construction. 3.6, discussion and/or action concerning adjusting the capital improvement funds budget to purchase a track loader with mulching attachment. 3.7, discussion and/or action to use COVID contingency to fund new account facility pressure washing within the capital improvements fund. 3.8 is discussion and/or action concerning funds set aside for school renovation and replacements in the self-funded construction fund. 3.9, discussion and/or action to reallocate committed funds to a new safety school vestibules project. 3.10, federal programs, is discussion and/or action concerning the COVID-related recovery and retention stipend. 3.11 is finance, discussion or action concerning the August budget to actual revisions for fiscal year 23-24 and fiscal year 24-25. 3.12, risk management, discussion and action concerning resolution 2024-2098 for funding from the State of Louisiana Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness for losses incurred in the May 2024 storms. 3.13, Superintendent discussion and or action concerning the minutes of June 4th, 2024, July 3rd, 2024, and July 31st, 2024. And 3.14 is approval of all action consent items. I would entertain a motion to approve all items not pulled.
I'll make a motion to approve all items not pulled.
Motion by Ms. Mason, seconded by Mr. Hidalgo, that we approve all items which were not pulled, which is the whole agenda. We'll go ahead and go to public comment, but before we have a presentation on 3.1, if you'd please come up and do your presentation, then we'll go to public comment.
Hi, good evening. My name is Gabby Fighetti. I'm the managing partner of Civic Solutions Group. We were here a few months ago and are really happy to be back today to talk about the district optimization process. My colleague Olin Parker is going to walk us through a presentation, and we are happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, Gabby. I know we're...
Before you get going, can you turn up your mic? You have a soft voice like I do. Sorry.
I'm not going to talk much
There you are.
longer, so
Okay,
I will
okay.
get closer.
Just want to make sure. Thank you.
That's no problem. Good evening, board members. Just to give a little preamble as we're working on the technology here. As Gabby mentioned, we came here in May for our initial board meeting. We also presented at the Long Range Planning Committee meeting in June. Last month, we had the opportunity to attend, to lead multiple community feedback sessions at Northside, Southside, and Acadiana High Schools. So we have had, we've been in Lafayette a lot, and we plan to continue being in Lafayette. So we appreciate the hospitality. I also want to say, the engagement with the community that we have had so far has been substantial, and it has been more substantial than we have experienced in other communities. And that is great news. We certainly have lots of engagement to continue to do, but I did want to note that and thank the Lafayette community, thank your constituents, thank your staff for engaging in the way that they have. And we look forward to continuing that engagement. I'll just talk a little bit about the engagement that we've had. We distributed a survey to community members and had over 1,200 responses. We had those 3 community feedback sessions that I mentioned in July. We have a district optimization website that is a page on your website. We have a district planning at lpssonline.com email address for anyone that is interested in the district optimization process. We have also formed a community advisory panel in concert with your existing board policy BBC that is made up of community leaders who we have engaged. So we're confident in the engagement that we have done thus far. We're very grateful for those that have engaged in that process, and we look forward to continuing that engagement as this process moves along. I'll pause now for a minute as they get the slides ready so the members of the public can see the rest of the presentation.
the superintendent has asked that you just start talking through it, and we'll get to the slides when we get to the slides.
Certainly, that sounds great. So I'll just pull the slides up on my phone so I have them, so I make sure I go in order. So what you will see eventually, and members of the public, this presentation is posted on board docs, and within the next 48 hours will be posted on the district optimization website as well. As I mentioned, we had over 1,200 participants in a survey. That survey consisted primarily of current Lafayette Parish Public School System staff, as well as current LPSS parents. It was almost evenly split between those groups, 40% and 40%. And then the remaining respondents were students, retired LPSS staff, and general community members. And what we asked community members in that survey was, what are the priorities that you have for the Lafayette Parish Public School System? And Ms. Gardner will be on slide 2. And the overwhelming response that we heard from the broader community was, we want to ensure that teacher and staff compensation is their top priority. If you look at this chart, the deep blue represents LPSS staff, the teal represents LPSS parents, and the light blue represents all other members. And you notice that consistently, the size of the pie, or the size of the rectangles for each group, there is a lot of alignment. There's a lot of alignment between all groups. You know, you might anticipate that there is differences between staff and parents. That was not the case. When you disaggregate the data, it's very clear that teacher and staff compensation is of utmost importance to this community. You can click forward. The next 4 priorities, go back to slide 2 for me. One more slide. The next 4 priorities were also pretty clearly delineated from the bottom of the group. And what we found is that equitable funding, giving students what they need to be successful, is incredibly important to this community. Academic outcomes, high quality facilities, and then making sure that all students are being served well. So we are taking this information. Tonight we're here to talk about priorities and what priorities we want to apply to every school. These are our takeaways from the survey. The community spoke loud and clear, and if you look at the data, there are pretty clear cut points in terms of what the community values. You can go to the next slide. In addition to the surveys, we also held those 3 community feedback sessions. We were able to get very deep into the content with those that attended the community feedback sessions. And we both learned, similar things to what we heard from the survey, and people were able to expand in a way that they're not able to in an online form. So what we heard from those meetings is, it's critically important that we have diverse opportunities for students. That means diverse opportunities in academic programming. That means diverse opportunities in extracurricular programming. The attendees of these community feedback sessions made it very clear that a thriving school to them is one that has diverse opportunities for students. Additionally, there were many comments about consistency in staffing and school autonomy. And to summarize that, what we heard is, we know that there have been a lot of changes in district leadership. That is common. Now that those changes have been made, we need to let those principals lead and let teachers teach. The third thing that we heard was a positive school culture. Positive school culture means different things to different people. It could mean parental involvement. It could mean students that come to school every day. It could mean teachers that come to school every day. It means different things to different people, but it was a consistent enough theme that we knew that it was something that we needed to pull out and highlight from those community feedback sessions. And the last was adequate and well-maintained facilities. This was a consistent theme across Northside, Southside, and Acadiana, is a recognition that not every school community is going to have a brand new school building every year. There was a lot of understanding that not everybody is going to get brand new, but what is desired is a standard of care, a consistent standard that all facilities meet. And in order to be thriving, in order to be considered a thriving school, the building needs to be at a certain level. Next slide, please. So I talked about how our purpose tonight is to approve these priorities. So I want to walk you through the process that we are going through as an independent organization to bring recommendations back to you. In this example, you'll see 20 little schoolhouses. Let's imagine that there are 20 campuses in Lafayette. You can click forward. What we will do is we will apply the 4 criteria that you're approving tonight to every single school in the parish. There will be many, in this example, more than half of the schools do not meet all 4 priority. That is likely to happen. When we talked, the scenarios that we envisioned were a thriving school, and there will be some schools that are doing very well, but are not meeting our bar yet for everything that we want to be true in the Lafayette Parish school system. So, of those 11 schools that, in this example, there are 20 schools, let's say 11 did not meet all 4 of those criteria. You can click forward. Of these 11, we as an independent organization, you can click forward, will go through and look at all of the information that we have from the survey, all of the information that we have from the community feedback sessions, all of the data that the district has and will make available to us. We will look at that information and come up with independent and community-driven recommendations for this board to consider. You can click forward. Now, I want to recognize that just because the school doesn't meet all of the priority criteria doesn't necessarily mean it will be eligible for, or doesn't necessarily mean that we will make a recommendation for that facility. You're not going to make changes to more than 50% of your schools in 1 year. That's simply, there's not staff capacity, oftentimes there's not funding, you want to make sure the right leaders are in place, et cetera. So let's say there are 11 schools that don't meet the criteria. In this example, we may come back with 5 recommendations for board action. Click forward. And to be very clear, you can click forward 3 times, there are 3 potential. In this example, in 2 schools, we may expand popular programming. We may come back and say, it's important, this French immersion or this Montessori or this STEM pathway is really popular. So we recommend that you expand it to eliminate those long waiting lists. Another potential district optimization action is consolidation. Maybe there are 2 schools that are right next to each other that have been historically under-enrolled. One is a much nicer facility. One is a facility that the district has been pouring money into and patching up for years. We might recommend consolidating those 2 campuses. And a third recommendation we might make is to redesign a campus from a K-5 to a K-8, or from a 9-12 to a 6-12. The point of this row is to say, district optimization means many different things, and we will come back with many different recommendations for the campuses in your district. You can click forward one more time. What I just described is the whole process. We are still very much at the beginning, at that very top row, where we are approving the priorities tonight that will be applied to every single school. And the reason why we are approving those priorities is because we feel like we have a good understanding of what is important to this community, and we want to make sure that we apply an equitable lens, a fair lens, and a universal lens to every school within the parish. Next slide, please. This slide represents, it is a summary of our approach. If you just made district optimization decisions based on data, you would leave out swaths of important information and potentially do some damage to communities. If we were just looking at a spreadsheet, we could be done with this process in a week and a half and we'd all go home. And that would mean monumental changes and, like I said, potentially cause damage to some communities. Similarly, if we only made these decisions on our context, our values, our experience, our gut feeling, our own personal understanding of what's going on in the district, we would also make uninformed decisions. We would make decisions that harm communities because each of us has a different perspective. The 9 members of this board have different perspectives. The superintendent has a different perspective. Every community member that filled out the survey has a different perspective. So what we try to do is we try to marry the data that is available to us and all of the context, all of the values, and all of the experience that we have learned through our community engagement and will continue to learn, and that is how we come up with our district optimization recommendations. Next slide, please. What we are bringing to you tonight are 4 priorities that we believe should be applied to every campus in this district. Academic trajectory, facility condition and investment, school culture, and financial health. These match very closely with what we heard both in the survey and in the community feedback sessions, as well as the community advisory panel and any additional conversations we've had. So what does that mean? In order for a school to meet this criteria for academic trajectory, that means all students are either high performing or they're growing at a high rate. For facility condition and investment, that means the facility has received equitable investment over the last 10 years. For school culture, as I mentioned, that means many different things to many different people, but the sort of proxy that we have are families and teachers want to be in that school, and they want to be in that school every day. And then financial health, we want to make sure that campuses are cost effective to operate. Next slide, please. Now, the data that we're going to look at to assess these priorities, we're not here to talk about whether it should be 78% or 82%, but we want to share with you the data that will be used as we assess these priorities if they are approved by the board. For academic trajectory, that means a school is either an A or B on their SPS, or a school has an A progress letter grade and is growing those students. For facility condition and investment, we're going to look at all of the investments that this board and this district has made in every single facility and apply that to the number of students that are in those campuses today. For school culture, again, in the absence of a district-wide, longitudinal, detailed survey of staff and students, what we are going to look at is teacher retention, re-enrollment rate, and what families are choosing when they are applying to attend a school. Which schools families are attempting to get into when they fill out their applications. And then finally, we will look at cost per student, which includes maintenance, utilities, staffing, and any other relevant operational costs. And what we want to see is that obviously there will be differences in cost per student based on the condition of the building, based on the type of students that are enrolled there. But generally, when we look at a metric like this, there are some schools that are outliers that need to be considered for some sort of optimization action. Next slide. This is our final slide for the evening, and it just kind of explains the process that we will go through in the coming months. So we have spent the entire summer developing these priorities through all of the ways that we have mentioned. For the next 2 months, we will look at all the data that is available to us. We will continue to engage with the community, and we will come back to this board in October and present our initial recommendations. Very soon after that October board meeting, we will hold additional community feedback sessions. We will have another round of surveys. We will continue to meet with the community advisory panel, recognizing that we are going to make a number of recommendations, and not all of them will likely move forward. That is typically what happens. We might make multiple recommendations for the same school and want to hear from the community about, and from you all and from the community advisory panel about what is the right decision for that school community. After we do that additional round of community engagement, we'll bring our final recommendations to your November board meeting, where they will be voted on by this board, and then immediately after that, the district will begin implementing whatever decisions were made. If you look on the right-hand portion of this slide, the entire reason that we are doing this process is, and the question that districts should be asking themselves when they go through district optimization are, how can we have as many students as possible attending our better quality facilities and enrolled in higher performing schools? And especially based off of the feedback that we've heard thus far, we want to make sure that this process is serving the community's ultimate goal of increasing teacher and staff pay. So with that, this concludes our presentation, and board members, we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Ms. LeBouf?
Thank you for the presentation. I just had one question. Have you met with all of the board members, or are there still outstanding interviews that need to be conducted with the staff and the board?
There are a couple of board members that our schedules haven't aligned yet, but we have been playing phone tag with some board members, but we have the vast majority of the board that we've already connected with, as well as 100% of the community advisory panel members.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to make sure my fellow board members schedule time to talk to them, because I think, as you said, we all have different perspectives, we all have different communities, and I really think our feedback is valuable. So please try to schedule those meetings if you can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Other questions? Now for the public, we'll open the floor for public comment. If anyone has a comment on one of the agenda items, please come forward. Please state which item you're speaking on.
I'm speaking on 3.1. Y'all are going to get sick of seeing me up here. The only reason I am speaking against it is because none of this was available prior to the meeting. I did read the resolution and found the language really ambiguous, so I came here planning on bringing that up, and they did clarify it, but I wish we had had more time to review all of that because it does explain the language some, but I'm just now seeing it for the first time. So that's my only suggestion.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Come on up.
Hello. I'm speaking on 3.1 as well. The only reason I have an opinion on this is I worry that we're in a survivorship bias with the data that we're looking at here. So we're looking at 1,200 LPSS families, students, employees. But I think one of the major concerns of the district is the 5,000 plus family or students that are going to charter academies. So if we looked at what is driving these out of the district, it's great to look at the people in the district and what we want to see and what we want to improve. But at this point, to me, you're looking at the planes that have come back and said, oh yeah, they survived, but they got shot here, so we need to improve that area. No, you need to look at the ones that didn't come back and why didn't they come back? And so I worry that this is very much, we're just in an echo chamber here, hearing our own people talking about what they want to see and what they want to improve. So that's the only reason I'm against. I think it's good data in there. And then I would also agree with, I was a little worried about the proposal. There was metrics to be determined, no real clarity on what those metrics were or who was helping determine those metrics. But the presentation did help with that. So thank you.
Thank you. Come on up. Please state which item you're speaking on.
Hi, School Board. Stephanie Skinner-Touchette. I'm speaking on 3.1. I'm thinking that you hired these people, and I went to the one at Northside, and I think they're wonderful people, but you spend a lot of money hiring them. How come you don't get together and go to the school and make your own meeting? Like, how come you're not there at the school and do your own? I mean, you go talk to everybody. You say you talk to parents all the time. Why don't you come up with your own ideas? How come you have to hire somebody to do that? When you're elected and you get paid to do what you do, and you can go show yourself physically at all these schools, get a photo op from the media, and then talk to all the parents in person. And so that's just my thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move to board member comment. Madam Secretary, hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Eight for, none against.
Motion carries. That's the end of our consent agenda for tonight. We do have litigation on the agenda for this evening. Litigation is 4.1, discussion and our action concerning pending litigation in the matter of David Travasso, ETAL versus Lafayette Parish School Board, ETAL, docket number 2013-1995, 15th Judicial District Court, Division F, Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, and take any action warranted upon its return to open session. 4.2 is discussion or action concerning prospective litigation in the matter of Sandy Citizen relative to her workman's compensation claim. 4.3, discussion and or action concerning prospective litigation in the matter of Sherelle Crachan relative to her workman's compensation claim. 4.4, discussion and or action concerning prospective litigation in the matter of Julie DeZormo relative to her workman's compensation claim, and 4.5, discussion and action concerning prospective litigation in the matter of Monica Lewis relative to her workers' compensation claim. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that the board enter into executive session to discuss all litigation.
We have a motion by Ms. Mason, seconded by Dr. Edmond. Any public comment? Any board comment? Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote. Is it up or is a voice vote good enough? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no.
Hey, Miss Gabby, I showed you this book, didn't I? I showed you that book in the meeting? Yeah. I brought it to show the school board members. So, everything's going okay? I just wish that they would go out in the public and do what y'all do. Why don't they do that? Maybe because they want y'all in trouble. They don't want to have to face the parents in front of a TV camera. Maybe they want you to be like the shield. I don't know. I mean, I'm not y'all, but we do it all. You know, I'm very happy that y'all are here. I'm just saying they need to go out and do that because you know what? I asked school board teachers to realize when we have open mics, public comment, like all over the country, we have open mics. Talk about whatever you want. They won't allow it here, so we know it. No, and I still love him. I think he's as cute as he can be, but he's a retired military man to allow him. You know, that's why he don't allow us. Sir, you know, the parents, he wouldn't bother you. It's only 3 minutes. You can take an hour once a month to listen to me. He wouldn't allow it. So that's why I get upset. Because that's censorship. This is the country where there's not supposed to be censorship. You sign this check. The taxpayer signed this check. You should allow public comment. I'm mad because some people would be rowdy. Maybe they don't know how to talk tactfully, you know. They probably will get a lot of that. There's a chair that is forced to say what it doesn't like to do that. So there's no reason why you should be censoring this. And that's what we know. You have to agree with me. No, you have to agree with me because you're not censoring people by not allowing public comment. No agreement. Now you're being censored by not answering emails. It's not funny. That's what we're on this country, not funny. We're in a free country. Anyone can a gag ball in their mouth and people be able to comment in the public and talk. You don't want your child to be able to talk about your granddaughter's hair. Well, he's not allowed that. All right, God bless you. Yeah, all the time.
We have a motion by Mr. Hidalgo, seconded by Ms. Trahan, that we go back into executive session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're now back in regular session. We have 5 items on litigation. We're going to go through them one at a time. 4.1, discussion and action concerning pending litigation in the matter of David Travasso et al. Versus Lafayette Parish School Board et al. Docket number 2013-1995, 15th Judicial District Court, Division F, Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana. Take any action warranted upon its return to open session. Can I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to accept recommendation of legal counsel.
Motion by Ms. Mason, second by Mr. Bergeron. I'm looking. Any public comment? Any board comment? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote. That was the one. Sorry, Mr. Bergeron, I kind of went blank there a second. Well, I was going to call you Dr. Bergeron, but that's Dr. Edmond. I don't see it. Yeah, that's, yeah, I'm there we go.
Five for, 3 against.
Motion carries. Next up is 4.2, discussion and or action concerning prospective litigation in the matter of Sandy Citizen relative to her workers' compensation claim. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept recommendation of legal counsel.
Motion by Ms. Mason, second by Mr. Bergeron. Is there any public comment? Any board member comment? Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote.
Five for, 3 against.
Motion carries. 4.3, discussion and action concerning prospective litigation in the matter of Sherelle Crachan relative to her workman's compensation claim. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept recommendation by legal counsel.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ms. Mason, second by Mr. Bergeron. Any public comment? Any board member comment? Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote.
Seven for, 1 against.
Motion carries. 4.4, discussion or action concerning prospective litigation in the matter of Julie DeZarmo relative to her workman's compensation claim. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept recommendation by legal counsel.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Mason, second by Mr. Bergeron. Any public comment? Any board member comment? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote.
Seven for, 1 against.
The final item, 4.5, discussion and action concerning prospective litigation in the matter of Monica Lewis relative to her workman's compensation claim.
I'd like to make a motion to accept recommendation by legal counsel.
Motion made by Ms. Mason, seconded by Dr. Edmond. Any public comment? Any board member comment? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote.
Seven for, one against.
Motion carries. That is our final item. This meeting is now adjourned.